Welcome to the Speed League podcast from Southern California. I'm Kelly Hansen, and you can play free season-long fantasy racing sports with all your friends at speedleaguefantasy.com. This is an awesome game. We've been playing it for years, and now we got a website so you can too. Check us out, speedleaguefantasy.com. It's free. I'm here as always with the man, the myth, the legend, the best Super 73 racer this side of the Mississippi, Ryan Berkman. What's up?
How's it going? How's it going, everybody?
So we didn't have a Supercross race last week, but holy shit, did we make up for it this week?
Yes, we did. There was a lot of good racing, and it's funny. Last week, I said, "Hey, it seems like the races have been a little boring." And when I feel like the Supercross gods blessed us with an exciting one this time, so I was on the edge of my seat the whole entire time. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was wild, and I know you had an event last night and weren't able to watch the race live, and I told you don't go and look at results because this is one you're going to want to watch.
My phone was like blowing up too, and I was like sitting there and Kelly and like everyone I know were like sending spoilers, and I had to text everyone back saying, "Hey, like don't say anything. I'm like pissed off that I'm here right now and I can't be watching the race. Do not spoil anything." Like pretty much my thought was, okay, something crazy happened. So I was stoked to finally watch it. Half when I got home last night at like 2 a.m. Like I watched half from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. because I couldn't wait. But then I was kind of nodding, so I finished the rest this morning. But man, there was some storylines going on.
Yeah, I didn't send you any spoilers because I knew you were gone. It was Whole Shot King that was doing a little bit of spoiling, but yeah, I didn't want to blow anything. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, our website handles a sort of a no spoiler flow for you. So if you're watching the race on a delay, even if results are already in, you can use our site and you actually won't see any results. So you can monitor your team and everything while you're watching the races, and then just click a button and you'll see all the results come in. So that's a feature that we really like for people that aren't watching races live. But yeah, okay. So so many things to talk about. Obviously, we're going to get to Forkner's insane crash and all the drama that surrounds that. But let's talk about the 450s first. The whole night was really, really eventful, including the heat races. I mean, the heat races were wild.
Yeah, and like Tomac was kind of back to form. It was like cool to see him out there riding like Tomac of a few years ago, and like seeing him battle with Plessinger. I know Plessinger is like on his game right now. He's one of those guys people are talking about, like gonna win the championship, gonna be battling up there. And like we were saying that he wasn't, but he's been proving pretty much every week, in heats and like then in the main that he should be, a part of that discussion. But like seeing Tomac in the heat, kind of chasing him down and then passing him in the whoops, Tomac special. That was really cool to see Tomac back on it.
Yeah, Plessinger's been a heat race monster, but yeah, Tomac for sure. I mean, the whole night had crazy speed in the heat, and then obviously in the main event. Heat 2 was also super exciting. I mean, Malcolm Stewart was like ripping it up, making passes on Jet, and back to good old heat race Mookie in the heat race for the second heat. But main event, super dramatic. And Tomac, after we've just been talking about him, maybe not even being a championship contender and not having it, fastest guy on the track.
Yeah, and like Tomac has in the past, it has seems like he starts the seasons out maybe like a little slower. Like I know a couple seasons ago he was having some like arm pump issues, and he like kind of had a few reasons why he like wasn't really doing too well. And then the second half of the season, he started turning it on, and it put him in a place to like possibly win the championship. So I mean, maybe that's just kind of what's happening this year too, is everyone's been like sleeping on him, and saying, okay, Tomac isn't what he has been, and he's just getting ready to turn it on. And also next week is Daytona, and Tomac
Mm-hmm.
may come up later in the show of one of our segments, little sneak preview to that. But yeah, next week is Tomac's track too, so I would not be surprised if something special happens with Tomac next week too.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. His whole career especially in the 450 class, has kind of just been like insane speed and then just head scratchers. And, he's had a lot of head scratchers so far this season. But I mean, maybe he's turning around. I mean, I hope to God that he is, because I mean, for Tomac to be Tomac and be mixing it up in this championship battle will make it even more exciting than it already is with all these contenders.
And the crowd too. I mean, like Plessinger is supposed to be like a crowd favorite, and everyone cheers for him. But when
People love Tomac.
dude, like when Tomac was making those passes, you heard the crowd from the TV broadcast just erupting every single pass that he made. It just shows that he is such a favorite, and like Supercross needs Tomac to do well. I mean, yeah. So I mean, next week it's gonna get crazy over there in Daytona.
Yeah. So, I mean, he had a goofy little crash early in the main event and kind of, it ended up in the tough block in a corner off the bike and kind of slowly got back. I mean, when you watch the replay, he like took a while to get going. And I think he was way down like 11th or 12th or something like that. And still, and I mean, nobody else honestly is doing this season from that far back, passing his way up to finish in second place. Obviously, there was some drama up at the front that allowed him to finish in second instead of third. But yeah, a crazy, crazy fast ride and the fastest guy on the track in the main event.
Yeah, and I actually made a note of that, how it kind of looked like Tomac lackadaisically got back up on his bike, and it almost made me think before I saw him riding with a fire lit up under his ass for the rest of the race. It almost made me think it is like Tomac lost that spark for like competition, and he knows that he's not the top guy anymore, and just seeing him kind of tip over and then okay, hop back on the bike. I thought that the Tomac spark was gone at that point. And then obviously he like turns it on as the fastest guy on the track. He's doing 2 seconds a lap faster than Jet. So he did prove himself. Obviously, he is one of the fastest guys out there, but it just wasn't a good look the way that he got back on the bike. I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, in spite of that, being able to finish where he did, I mean, it just goes to show even more uh, how huge that ride was for Tomac. So super cool, super super cool. Wasn't fast enough to catch Webb. Webb with a good night. He was outridden by Jet, but was managed to keep it together and be consistent. And when the rookie goes down, Webb was able to capitalize.
Yeah, and Jet was faster than Webb, and I believe Tomac, was faster than Webb also. It just so happened he was in the right place at the right time. And like Jet would have caught and passed Webb. I'm almost certain of it on the last lap, but there was some issues with none other than Vince Freezy. Of course, he's a total shit magnet all year, so it definitely makes sense that it was with him. But I
I don't think
thought
Vincent did anything wrong though. I
no,
mean, Jet
no,
like basically ran into the back of him. But yeah,
100%. I was
he's the
gonna
magnet
say,
for sure.
yeah, it's like that was 100% on Jet, because Freezy was trying to get out of the line like the best he could. I mean, the track's only so wide, and like Webb went around on the outside of him. So we said, okay, cool. Seems like the race is like going around the outside. I'm gonna hug tight inside slow to like stay out of the way and not be the bad guy. And it just so happened that Jet tried to shoot low, but I feel like Jet should have had a little, more forethought. And I know that it's tough because it's like the last lap, the last few turns that he had to go for something, but that just wasn't the turn to do it when there's a lapper right there. And Jet forced it and he paid the price for it.
Yeah, it was desperate. I mean, you said it looked like Jet was going to catch and pass Webb. I mean, he had already caught him. He was right on his ass. But even without Freezy there, passing him is another question. I'm not going to say it wasn't going to happen, but Webb knows how to fight for his life on the last lap of a race. It definitely would have been interesting. But no, Jet. I mean, the first crash that he had. kind of was what it was. That rhythm section was insanely technical all night. The whole track was maybe the most technical of the whole year. Really steep landings, got really rutted out, especially late in the mains. Obviously, huge chaos happening in the rhythms. Jet goes, has a little tip over and loses first place. Okay, that is what it is. The second crash on the last lap, where he was in second trying to get the lead and then ended up fourth, it's rookie shit.
100%. And like, how about Malcolm Stewart? Man, this was his race to stick it to the haters. He looked like one of the fastest guys on this track. This was his track.
The heat was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, this was his week. Like, and like really when he did end up crashing, it wasn't even his fault at all. I'm not sure who
Yeah.
it was that went down in front of him, but he was just going around the turn and someone slid out right there. And, he was just in the wrong place, wrong time yet again for the seventh
Was
week
it,
in
did
a
he run
row.
into somebody else, or
Yeah.
was he the one that went down and somebody else went into him? I
I
can't remember.
am
Maybe you're right.
almost positive if my memory serves me correct, someone slid out and he, just ran into their back tire on the ground and then slid out. Not even his fault at all. So
Yeah.
it's another
So there was a
rough
bunch
one.
of there was a bunch of fast guys that went down early in that main. I mean, Stewart, Tomac, Anderson, Roxon, a lot of them were way back there, but Tomac was the one that was able to just plow through the field.
Tomac was fast, absolutely fast. Speaking of guys that were fast, Kelly's favorite guy that he loves hyping up around here, Hunter Lawrence with another fifth. I mean,
Dude.
I mean,
Yeah.
like
Just hanging out with the fast guys, Tomac can go by him. He's not passing Plessinger or anything, but like he's hanging on to him. Tomac goes by and he'll just like stick on his rear wheel, learn some things. Dude, yeah, Hunter's on fire right now.
2 fifths in a row, and like that was after. Hunter must listen to this podcast or something because I was kind of talking shit, saying he's like a freaking barely top 10 guy, going to be getting 10th or 11th, and he sure proved me wrong. So I'll take the L on that one. 100%. I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong, but Hunter's the man. Hunter's the man for sure.
He's like, yeah. So, I mean, is this sustainable? I mean, are we expecting to see him top fives every week? I'm not quite sure about that. Cause I mean, he's, finishes in front of Sexton, in front of Roxon, Anderson, those are guys I still expect to be beating Hunter.
Yeah, I know that he's got 2 fifths in a row, and if you have Hunter on your team, you might think, oh, wow, fifth is his spot. I would still not predict him in fifth. I mean, like you said, he was ahead of Sexton, Roxon, Stewart, Anderson. I would probably, he earned like an eighth prediction in like my book. I mean, for sure. What about you?
At least. Yeah. Yeah. I might go seventh, maybe sixth if he looked really good in qualifying or something, but probably around the seventh range, I would say, moving forward for Hunter. But no, I mean, he's doing really good. And I mean, obviously, if he can get a good start, be up front, he's got the speed to stay up there to a reasonable degree. And especially if there's chaos, which there's always fucking chaos. There's always some top guy that's going to be way down there. He can stick it out and make a top five happen. That's awesome. Um, Finished in front of Chase Sexton. Sexton still says he's got some issues with that hand, but yeah, not a really confidence inspiring ride. Hopefully he just continues to recover and this isn't what he's looking like now.
No way. I mean, like injuries do obviously, and like something that is like as demanding as Supercross, with a hand injury. I mean, your hands are like one of the most
Yeah.
important things on a bike. I mean, if your hand isn't feeling right, that just throws off your whole entire ride and race. Um, Speaking of, something
Yeah.
throwing off rides and race, what about Justin Barsha? He literally was one of the
Oh man.
top guys, second round draft pick. And I mean, if you look at his last four finishes, 13th, 12th, 18th, 14th, he hasn't even been in the
Yeah.
top
Yeah. I mean,
10 in the last four races.
Yeah, and I mean he's said he's got issues with bike setup, which I must be extreme if that's really what's going on. But I mean also just to add, I guess injury to insult here. He had a crash in practice that made him be even worse shape for this main event. But look, I've got him on my team, and obviously picked him up as a guy that I expected to be fifth, sixth place every single week, and I mean, I've started being more realistic with where he's at, and I predicted him 14th. I got a dead on prediction this week. As sad as that is, 14th for Justin Barsha.
That actually honestly shows that you are a fantasy expert and a fantasy veteran. I would love to see the
Realist.
stats of who got Justin Barsha dead on this week. I would be surprised if you were the only person. I mean, literally to not only like predict him 14th and know, but to be a realist and to like come to terms with who he is and say, you know what, I'm going 14th. It just shows that you know how to play this game and you know how the predictions work and how important it is to be realistic.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you've humbled yourself after I kicked your ass this week in fantasy.
I'm like tired of freaking coming on here and saying that I lost. This isn't fun.
Yeah, I'm having a good one. I was the only person to get any dead on predictions in our league this week. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, and you got 3 at that. I mean, I guess freaking listen to Kelly for his predictions, but I mean, in my defense, I had Ferrandis who got dead last 22nd.
Dead last.
I had Jalik Swole dead last 22nd. So it's hard to get people dead on and get any prediction points when you guys are getting 22nd place. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, I did have Webb and Deegan who got first and first. So I guess there's a little something there, but still the
Yeah,
weak
and
link.
interesting that you can still lose a matchup with the winner from both classes.
Well, yeah, the winner and the dead last of both classes kind of averages out to middle of the road is not really where you
That's
want to
true.
be. But hey,
Yeah. Another good ride for Justin Cooper, 7th place. He started to have some really consistent results. I like Justin Cooper. I have some thoughts about him later. Ken Roxon in 8th went down pretty early in the main. Him, Jason Anderson, yeah, Malcolm Stewart in 9th place. Some really fast guys that honestly, had we would have liked to see further up and had opportunity to be further up. Didn't really work out for them this week.
they talked about this in the broadcast a lot, but it is just so true. This year is so stacked. There is so much talent that it seems like those top guys, there's always 4 or 5 top guys that are, barely top 10 or like 10, 11, 12, 13 every week, and someone like Hunter Lawrence sneaks in the top 5 or, Justin Cooper top 10. I mean, it seems like there's just so much talent that anyone any week can get a top 5. It's just all over the place.
Yeah, and I mean, we keep driving this nail in, but it's so start dependent. You have to get the start because, I mean, what Tomac did was so impressive coming through the field. And honestly, no one else is really being able to do that right now. And I don't know if he's going to be able to recreate it. We'll see, next week in Daytona. So, I mean, it sounds like you might be picking Tomac for a top finish in Daytona next week. Obviously, his history backs that up. But it's going to be a critical week for Tomac because if he has speed to be in this championship this year, Daytona is for sure the place that he's should be able to deliver it. I mean, he should win this race 100% if he's competitive in this championship because that's his place.
So we've mentioned it twice now, so I'm going to stop beating around the bush and come out with it. My podium lock of the week this week is Eli Tomac. He has won Daytona 5 years in a row. That is insane. That is more than coincidence. That is more than, oh yeah, just so happened. This is a check mark, circle on the schedule every year for Tomac. This is my race. I own this race. He's been looking forward to this race for the last few weeks. When he's coming around and like getting ninth at like, freaking BFE, he said, Daytona is my track. And I think that he is going to win Daytona next week. And Tomac has that speed. He is a killer. He has that Mamba mentality. And like, yes, he's a little older and he hasn't been doing as well. But when it comes to like something like this, it's like, Kobe freaking dropping 81 in his final game. No matter how old you are, if you feel it and you have that confidence, Tomac's going to win Daytona. Mark it. I'm calling it now.
Okay, so he's your podium lock for next week. Prediction one.
Well, see, that's the thing, is it's hard to predict someone one, especially, like Tomac. But I feel like he's either going to win or crash. I don't think that he's going to let some freaking 18-year-old come and like show him up at like Daytona. He's either going to win or crash. I would almost just say, fuck it, go out on a limb. Tomac won. Back him, have that like confidence he has. He's going to win or crash. He's not going to let anyone take that sixth win away from him.
Okay, so I mean, since we're talking podium locks for next week, I guess I'll just bring up mine because it's also in the 450 class, but it's not Tomac. Tomac has one super good week. Obviously, looks incredibly fast, but has a history of really good week and then turn around and what the heck happened the next week. So I mean, next week should be awesome for him. Especially with it being Daytona, but his season record isn't really showing that. So would I be shocked if he comes out and wins Daytona? Absolutely not, but I'm not ready to put my money on it. I am going Jet Lawrence for my podium lock next week. Not saying he's necessarily going to win.
Wow, it's a hot take.
We're talking podium locks. Jerry Robin. But no. And I mean, look, Jet Lawrence off the podium this last week. I mean, he's been inconsistent, but Daytona, this is a big, long track with an outdoor feel. And we just watched Jet Lawrence have a perfect season outdoors. Not saying this is exactly the same, but it's closer to outdoors than most Supercross races are. I think Jet Lawrence, especially over a long race, even if he has a little mistake at some point, this is such a big, long track and a long race. He's going to have enough time to recover. I'm going to say Jet Lawrence with a prediction of 2. He could come out and win it. Maybe Tomac wins it and Jet ends up in second. I like Jet for Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Obviously, that is someone who you have to think is going to be on the podium every week. I think that he is going to get second. I mean, definitely my, 1 Tomac, 2 Jet, and then getting a dead on Jet number 2. I mean, that's perfect too. So if you have Jet, he's probably not going to win, but I could definitely see him getting a second behind the GOAT. Or is that still Ricky Carmichael?
Yeah, Jet doesn't have any 450 championships on him yet, so we're not saying GOAT here. That's for sure.
I was saying the GOAT Tomac. Come on.
Oh, sorry, GOAT Tomac. Well, yeah, no, I mean he's GOAT of Daytona, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, at Daytona, yeah, he has more wins than Ricky Carmichael at Daytona. He has more wins than anybody in Supercross history at Daytona. So GOAT of Daytona, 1,000%. But yeah, I want to see what happens with Jet because Tomac's got a lot of strength at Daytona, but has been a little iffy this season. And Jet has some extreme prowess in outdoor style races, clearly. Another thing, too, is Jet, with his issues he had in Arlington at this last race, may be looking to just come back with a new, fresh mindset, not make mistakes, focus on his consistency, and, not do some stupid rookie stuff and deliver a really strong result at Daytona. So I like him as the pick, but we'll see. We go cheeseburger on this one? You already owe me a couple.
So am I going cheeseburger that Tomac wins? Or like, what's like the cheeseburger bet? Like Jet finishes better than Tomac? I would say cheeseburger bet.
Okay,
who like finishes better, Tomac or Jet? And like freaking you have, I would say
Okay.
if there was odds makers in Vegas, they would probably give Jet the edge. But I mean, I'm not going against my boy Tomac. I'll bet you a burger on Tomac finishing better than Jet in Daytona.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. But you have I have the odds probably on my side, so I'll give you a little odds favorable thing here. If you win, I'll buy you a double double from In and Out, and
Ooh,
if I win, you only have to buy me a single. How's that?
deal. I'll take it. Shake on it.
Yeah, but no, I'm stoked. Daytona's going to be rad next week. Just looking down the stands, anybody else we want to talk about? Obviously, yeah, you had Ferrandis on your team last place after it looked like the handlebar got loose or something weird like that when he was in the pits.
Yeah, you had to pull off. I mean, it kind of is what it is. I mean,
Yeah. And kind of his first, bummer result of the season because he's been killing it right in that, sixth place range. And I basically expected to see him right back there next week.
no, I know. And I like had him predicted seventh. I mean, sixth or seventh is what it seemed like he was getting every week. So I, thought that was my, lock easy there. Six or seven and like forget about it. But obviously, bike issues happen to someone every week, and it just so happened it was my guy.
Yeah. And then there was a couple of the 250 West guys on the Moto Concepts Honda team that, because West isn't riding right now, went 450 this week. Mitchell Oldenburg and Carson Mumford. And you subbed in Mitchell Oldenburg and he finished 12th. Is a good result for him. You're a little optimistic on your prediction, I think, but
Yeah, I mean, ninth probably was a little too greedy. I don't have exactly where he qualified. I think he qualified around there, and I know that qualifying doesn't mean everything, but I mean, it seems like a lot of times those like 250 guys that like come out and like ride 450, they finish a lot of times better than you would think. So I did have him ninth. He got a 12th. I ended up just getting one prediction point. Probably if I was a little smarter, Kelly would have only beat me by 23 instead of 26. But hey, it wasn't really a game changer, but it could have been.
for sure. Okay. Is there anybody else we want to talk about in 450 class before we go to the great drama filled 250 class?
Move on to the tear jerker to the 250 class.
Yeah, I know you have. I mean, neither of us has Austin Forkner on our team, but we were both just so sad to see what happened to Forkner.
Forkner this year, I mean, I know after one race, he was my favorite rider. I mean, I was rooting for him more than anyone. I like loved watching his comeback story and like witnessing like, okay, this is it. And actually this is, kind of sad knowing now what happened. I like keep notes, like talk about in the podcast. After the 250 heat one, I just wrote down Forkner is him. I mean, he just looked so good. He is it. He is the man. He is the championship favorite. I mean, no one is like going to take that away from him. And it just so
Yeah, and
happened.
that I mean, he was beast mode in the heat
Yeah.
race. I mean, yeah, came from behind, passed. I mean, who was it? Deegan and Anstey,
Yeah.
probably
Oh,
like the
yeah.
top two championship
Top two other
contenders
people said
in the
later.
heat race.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wins the heat race, comes out and passes another few people on the first lap of the main event. And Deegan was actually sticking with him reasonably well, but Forkner was riding awesome. And I was literally watching. I mean, they had the camera on him when he went down live. And I was watching him ride and just thinking, he is riding so well. I mean, if he keeps this up, I mean, he looks like he's ready for the 450 class. He is
Exactly.
riding so good. And then an acrobatic crash.
He
Maybe one of the
Kelly,
worst crashes I've ever seen in Supercross.
he was inches away from being a quadriplegic for the rest of his life. I mean, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like certain times people crash and it looks bad, they kind of slam the face of a triple, let's say, but this crash was different. He literally could have been in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. So it's one thing to think, okay, maybe on the positive that he doesn't need surgery, nothing's broken, but he has serious spinal bruising and spinal injury. And anytime that you hear spinal injury, that is never good. So I guess bright side, he's walking, but the downside is that we're missing out on a awesome season to witness it from a fan perspective. He's missing out on a championship from a Forkner perspective. And I've seen, some sad movies. I've seen The Notebook, I've seen Jack Frost, but like when this is
I did not think
real
that's where you were going here.
this is real life shit. Like this isn't a movie, this isn't
Yeah, no,
some, freaking tearjerker. This is real life shit. And I just
yeah,
feel so
and I mean,
bad for Forkner.
you know, and to see, when he finally they got him at least up on his feet and walking off, and just like the tears coming out of his eyes, yeah, it's so brutal. So yeah, I mean, it sounded like some bruised vertebrae, a broken scaphoid. I'm guessing pretty unlikely he's going to be back for any race this Supercross season. I mean, I don't even know if outdoors is a possibility this year. But I mean, going even further than that, what's next for Forkner? I mean, yeah, let's say he misses the whole rest of this season. I don't know if he still has a Pro Circuit Kawasaki contract, but I mean, if you're Mitch Payton, the head of the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team, are you signing Forkner again? Because it's been what, 5-6 years now that he has not been able to deliver because of injuries. And I mean, I'm sure he would be so sad to do it, because the guys, you have such high hopes for the guy, but he just consistently delivers injuries.
I know, and it's hard. I mean, we went from, kind of thinking about the future and, oh, wow, his like 450 career. I mean, I thought the same thing, seeing him just so smooth. I mean, he looks like an ultimate veteran. I was picturing him on a 450 ride. I said, man, he's going to make up for his shaky 250 career in the 450s. I mean, he's going to, put the past behind him and just step it up. And we're going from thinking about his 450 career to now talking about his career in general, just his overall riding
Yeah.
career. And I mean, I
Yeah.
hope that he comes back, but again, just the mental stress and angst that he has to be going through right now. I mean, I thought that
Yeah.
last year, after that whole mishap, it couldn't really get any worse, but this is worse because he knows that he was the
He
fastest
fell
guy
from the
out there.
top.
Yeah, he knows
Yeah.
that this was his
Yeah.
championship to win. And also, I don't know if you saw this, but I guess he said that his contact lens fell out halfway through the
Yeah. Fell
race, and he
out.
was kind of riding with blurred
Yeah.
vision. I don't know if that had anything to do with the crash, but I mean, it's just unlucky, unfortunate, absolutely devastating for
Yeah.
Forkner.
Yeah, and he unfortunately, like, you, you know how there's kind of some guys that know how to fall.
Hmm.
It's like when you crash, they roll out of it, or whatever it is, and that's only valid for a certain amount or percentage of things. But he seems like he doesn't know how to fall. I mean, he has these spectacular acrobatic crashes all the time, and always ends up being carried off the track on a stretcher, and that's just a weird, unfortunate part of it.
Well, moving on to a positive, and I still am going to kind of relate it back to the Forkner thing. Hayden Deegan got his first ever 250 Supercross win. Super stoked for Deegan. I mean, he deserves everything. He was stoked at the end, and I actually saw a lot of people, you know, talking a little shit, saying, "Oh man, you only won because Forkner crashed. Oh man, rein it in. You wouldn't have won." And that is completely BS. And those people that say that he shouldn't be excited after winning his first ever Supercross race, come on. I mean, he just freaking won the race, and he ghost rode his bike just like his dad did. That is all fair in love and war. I mean, that doesn't bother me at all. It's people crash all the time, every race. I mean, yes, Forkner was faster. Yes, he had a, possible career ending injury, but that's not Deegan's fault. Deegan didn't take him out or freaking cross the berm and snap his femur. I mean, Deegan was just riding his race, and
Yeah.
he should be happy, and I was glad to see him as happy as he was.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure this is not the way that he wanted to win his first Supercross race, but look, I mean, this is part of the sport is you go as fast as you can without crashing. And I mean, it doesn't matter how fast you are, if you can't keep it on two wheels until the finish line, you don't win.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was the guy that was able to go the fastest without going down that night. And that is what it is. So, yeah, congrats to him. Love to see the little ghost ride tribute to his dad. So, I mean, with Forkner out, is Deegan? I mean, Deegan was our number one rank going into this season before, unexpectedly kind of Forkner just blew up. Is Deegan back to just number one, our expected, top championship contender?
Yeah, I mean, Deegan did look good. He obviously won the race. I still like the consistency from Anstey. I know that he got 6, which isn't the best, but I feel like Deegan's gonna make
Still
some
got the
of
red
those
plate.
mistakes. Yeah, red plate. I still feel like Deegan's gonna make those rookie mistakes. Maybe pushing a little harder than he should be. And I still kind of like the consistency from Anstey. He's a sneaky championship winner. Um, One more thing, real quick, on a Deegan, though, is I do have to keep it 100% real. When he said, "Welcome to the danger zone," that was like one of the cringiest things that I've ever seen on a
Yeah.
Supercross interview. And I get that he's like a young kid, but I mean that I mean that was just a little
Yeah.
much.
No,
I mean,
look,
it's
I,
like
I
ghost riding
agree.
cool,
It-
but I mean, come
yeah.
on, bro.
Yeah. This might just be us being old and what are these kids doing nowadays? But it definitely did seem a little TikTok to me when he's
Yeah,
saying stuff like that. Yeah. But I don't know. Whatever. I can't talk too much shit. I've never won a Supercross race. I'd probably say something stupid too.
almost.
Um, McAdoo riding balls out, second place.
Yeah, McAdoo looked good. Luckily he kept it all in his shorts this time. But yeah, second place, you can't complain about that. And third, I mean, Vial looking super good, got a podium. That's always good to see. France. There's a lot of
Yeah,
French riders like to make an appearance, but he looked good. I was like super stoked for him.
Yeah, that was my deeper pick from last week. And I had him, expected to finish fourth, fifth, which is exactly where he would have been until Forkner went down and he ended up on the podium. So awesome for Vial. He had to fight for it too. He came through the field and like passed some guys. So his starts have not been really great. And if he can get better starts, he will be much more of a contender because he has speed.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. So then, since you're pretty right on the money with all these sleepers and locks and everything, who's your sleeper of the week, Kelly? Who's the guy that's been finishing outside of the top 8 or 10 that you think's going to make a run towards the top?
Okay, let's finish 250 class first because I'm going to be going back to 450s for my sleeper pick.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Um, okay, so we had Vial third. I have Seth Hamaker on my team. And speaking of some good Kelly Hansen predictions, dead on fourth place. Seth Hamaker was actually fastest in 250 practice, but honestly didn't look incredibly like he had a ton of competitive race pace during the race. But I mean, hangs on for a fourth place, so solid for Hamaker.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, when you're getting to these guys down here, they all just rode a solid race. I'm like Pierce Brown finished well. That was one of the guys preseason that I was talking up. He's done all right so far, but yeah, I mean,
Pierce
rode a
Brown
good
is
race.
second in the championship right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, no, and I think that
Yeah.
you had him like 12th, and I was like, man, I think we need to
he
scoot
was
this
he
guy
was
up a
pretty
little
deep
bit.
down on the rankings. Man, it's hard with these 250 guys to rank them. We do our best, but yeah, I mean, right now this is actually crazy. The 250 point standings: Max Anstey in first with a red plate, Pierce Brown second, Daxton Bennick, third, who got a podium in the first race, did a little bit worse this race, but still third place in the championship. Cody Schock is in fourth place in the 250 East standings. And then you have to go down to fifth to find Hayden Deegan.
And it is weird. Like, I know that there's only been 2 races, but Pierce Brown's got a 5th and a 5th. And with 2 5ths, that lands you in second in the championship. Like, that's doesn't really make any sense. Obviously, that
Yeah.
kind of shows the
That's
craziness.
hard math to do there.
Yeah. Even Daxton Bennick, 3-10, and you're in third in the championship. Like, what's going on around here?
It's a weird one. It's a chaotic one in the 250 East right now. And yeah, the points leader, Max Anstey, sixth place this week.
Yeah, it's so tough. I mean, 450s, 250s. I mean, there's so much talent that, anyone could finish anywhere, any week. That's why predictions are so hard. But if you listen to Kelly Hansen, he'll get you 21 prediction points every week. So I guess listen up.
Wow, I like this. You're really stroking me this week. It's good.
I mean, I have to, and you
Chance
dominate me. Like, geez.
Chance Hymas, seventh place. He looking solid. Had a really good race last race in Detroit, and seventh place this week. Not quite as good, but solid for Chance Hymas. Cody Schock, eighth. I substituted in Guillaume Ferris on the Rockstar Husqvarna. That was my other dead-on prediction, actually, in ninth place. He's looking pretty good for a rookie in Supercross.
Yeah, he is, and I saw that you picked him up, and I was a little late on that one. That's actually who I wanted. I ended up who did I sub in? I think I did a little switcheroo.
You did Cody Schock, who finished in front of him.
But I had Cody Schock, and I ended up dropping and then picking up and trying to do a little sneaky move, but it didn't really pan out because Jalek Swoll didn't really perform. But yeah, Cody Schock got an 8th. I predicted him 10th. That one I should have bumped up a little bit. I was yeah, it's tough with the predictions, man. I mean, come on. I'm doing the best I can. I got 6 prediction points, and you're wondering why I'm giving you all this credit. Like, I can't freaking talk any shit and act like I'm the man on a week where I get 6 prediction points. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
John
Daxton
got 5
Bennick.
prediction points, so at least I didn't do as bad as John. But it's hard to do as bad as John. I mean, freaking prediction points are just setting your lineup. It's like hard to do as bad as him. He's freaking 1-6. Now, after having first round pick, he has Jet Lawrence, he has Max Anstey, he has Pierce Brown, he had Forkner. Doesn't matter. 1-6. Like, crazy.
Yeah, John might have forgot to set his lineup this week. He had Christian Craig in, who was not racing, and then he's got Austin Forkner, who obviously that fell apart for him fantasy wise, and is a really tough break because that was one of his high up picks in the draft, and to lose him is tough for a team that's already struggling. So that's scrubbing triples in our league, having a rough one. Did I already talk about Daxton Bennick? He finished in 10th. He had some trouble early on in the main. I think he was like all the way at the back. He was like 18th place and actually rode well to get up to 10th. So I'm expecting better things out of him, especially after his podium in Detroit.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he was one of the guys, obviously, Chance Hymas, Daxton Bennick, that, that was like people that you should be like targeting in your league after the first race. I mean, I know that some people were actually messaging us on the Facebook. Well, real quick, Instagram, Facebook, follow us, Speed League Fantasy. But people were like sending me like questions like, hey, who should I pick up? Who's like a good guy? And I told a lot of people, hey, like Daxton Bennick, Chance Hymas, those are the guys you should get. And like someone was saying, hey, like, should I drop Nick Romano? And I said, yeah, probably drop Romano and pick up either Hymas or Bennick. And it was a little scary because that was on my mind when freaking Romano was kicking ass in the heat and like actually started pretty well in the main too, but then he ended up kind of dropping back there in 12th. So,
Yeah, he's a good starter. Doesn't have a ton of race pace, but I mean, again, a rookie, a young guy, getting those starts is really important. And then you can be up there with the fast guys and learn some things and hopefully improve quickly.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone else you want to talk about in the 250s. Any Gage Linville or Trevor Collip you want to talk about before we move on?
No. There's some guys in the Isaiah. Is it Isaiah Clark or it's Izaih? So it's like Isaiah. That's wrong.
Couldn't tell
I don't
you.
know. I think it's his first main ever. Congratulations, Clark. First main event. No, let's talk. So we already talked about our podium picks for Daytona next week. My deeper pick this week is actually going to be Justin Cooper. Justin Cooper is in 10th place in 450 points right now, but he's started really stringing together some good results. The last few, I mean, he was eighth in Anaheim, one, had a bad one in San Diego, but since then it's been 8, 9, 7, or sorry, 8, 9, 11, and then seventh in Arlington was his best finish this week. Justin Cooper's a really, really good starter on that factory Yamaha. He's riding really well, and he actually is pretty strong in like outdoor type tracks, which is going to suit him well for Daytona. And last year, he raced sort of a partial 450 season, and he raced in Daytona and got sixth place last year. So I really like Justin Cooper as a pick for Daytona this coming week, and I'd probably predict him around 7, which is where he finished this week.
Yeah, I agree on that. That was my little sleeper pick for the past few weeks. I mean, I was just waiting for him to actually perform where he should be performing because, like, he's a great qualifier. I mean, it seems like he's like always up there, and he should be doing better than he has been. So I could totally agree that he'll ride this momentum and probably finish around the 7th or 8th mark again next week. My sleeper pick is someone that you might not think. And again, I'm not saying this guy's going to get, top 5, but I'm going with Mitchell Oldenburg. So his first, last week was his first ride on the 450. And I do believe that he's going to finish better than 12th in like Daytona. I would probably predict him around 9th or 10th range. And I know that that's what I did this week, and it really didn't pan out. But I think that he's going to figure it out. It's a different, monster to like figure out the 450. He'll be practicing on it all week. And a lot of times, like I said earlier, those 250 guys, when they finally get on that 450, they're trying to prove something, prove that, hey, maybe I deserve a 450 ride. I think Oldenburg is going to come back and show these guys that 450 is where he belongs, try to get some looks, and he's going to finish in the top 10 next week.
Okay, is Oldenburg confirmed for racing Daytona? I know that he's West Coast, and so he's free to race 450s. I think they said like they would be doing select races. So I mean, I don't see why not. I just didn't know if he's 100% confirmed racing Daytona on the 450.
So I texted him, but he didn't text me back. So I'm not exactly sure what he's planning. But yeah, I mean, if he does race, I would say that he's definitely going to finish better than 12th. He has a little chip on his shoulder. When you're a 250 guy and a 450 guy, you're just trying to show everyone that you like belong. And with that chip on your shoulder, it could go a long way with riding hard.
Yeah, and not even racing the full season. So nothing to lose. Points don't matter. Like who's lines in anyway. Let's just go out and get a good finish at Daytona. Why not? But yeah, that's a good pick. All right. Wow, that was we're at 48 minutes. I'm glad we got through everything because that was a wild week. I'm stoked for Daytona. This is an awesome Supercross season. We will see you after the next race. Peace out.
Good luck.